But first up tonight, look, last week I travelled to North Queensland for the Sky News Career Mail political debates, and of course I was bunny hopping on aeroplanes from Cairns to Rocky on a series of flights. Now, make no mistake, regional Queensland will be where this election is won and lost. Labor has crucial seats up for grabs, and youth crime and transport promises on the Bruce Highway will play a crucial role. But not having flown for such a long time, it was interesting to see how packed those flights were. The Brisbane-Cairns route is now said to be the busiest in Australia as southeast Queenslanders clamour for a holiday in the Northern Tropics. The Rocky-Brisbane leg was jam-packed on the way home, suggesting that's a Friday afternoon, suggesting there's a flourishing fly-in, fly-out trade. Today, the Business Council of Australia released a report which urges the states and territories and National Cabinet, which meets tomorrow, to open up the interstate borders before Christmas. Open them up to flying. Now, of all the mechanisms aimed at kick-starting Australia's post-COVID recovery, the aviation part of the jigsaw puzzle is among the most important. I would argue it may actually be the most important, but of course there are other factors as well. We're a big country, and aviation is a key part of that transport mix. Now, the BCA, or the Business Council of Australia, estimates the border closures are costing Australia, it's costing Queensland $5 million a day, costing Australia $360 million a day if you include the international impact. The cost of having fewer Brisbane-Sydney flights since March has cost the economy $1.28 billion. The cost of fewer flights from Brisbane to Melbourne is a $1.22 billion hit. The cost of international travel, or the lack of it, has hit the country to the tune of $61 billion. $61 billion. Now, the BCA report suggests that a gradual reintroduction of flights within Australia, aiming for Christmas, is vital to the ongoing economic health of the country. And opening up international bubbles with New Zealand, South Korea, Singapore, China, it's the next step. But guess what? We've got a problem here, because we've got recalcitrant state and territory leaders who are opposed to opening borders, and it's now a national crisis. Governments in Queensland and WA in particular, even with limited COVID cases, they've got to adopt the suppression model. They can't adopt this eradication model. The time's come. This is it. We're now at the point where survival is so important, economic survival, and that's about ensuring that the borders are open, that the borders are free, that we can move around. We've got to trust the tracing principles and the likelihood of a vaccine sometime next year. That's the key to getting the economy humming again. You've got stupid, crazy decision-making around harsh lockdowns and border restrictions, and they must end. The level of trust being applied to ordinary citizens in this country is bizarre. Now, what I did notice at these airports, and as I said, I hadn't been there for a long time, was the emphasis on social distancing and the stricter protocols attached to security, with body scanning having the ability to pick up heat. Now, there are temperature checks that can be deployed, and maybe that's something that obviously needs to be looked at. There's also technology emerging, fast emerging, where COVID testing can be done and the results detected within 20 minutes. I mean, why wouldn't you deploy that at airports? I mean, they're certainly going to be deploying them at stadiums, I understand, very shortly. This could be another tool to be used. It's time-consuming, yes. It's costly, yes. But, you know, we're talking about aviation and the fact that Qantas and Virgin, now, they're employing about 10% of their normal staff. 90% of them have been laid off. And the cost of not doing this is even more prescient.